What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unlimited, an upgrade in consciousness summit, where we're learning how to overcome our reality and thrive in our life, health, and relationships. With me, Vic, or Vikash Shivdasani, your favorite spiritual awakening coach. And today is day one. Today is the first day of an amazing summit. Like, I am so excited for all of you guys to experience the people that I have brought on this summit, the topics that we're covering, the super rich conversations around spirituality and how to truly thrive in our lives. It's been amazing. I've been pre-recording these conversations and putting them together for you to watch now. So really excited to share all of this with you. But before I get into the speaker for today, I'd like to talk a little bit about my life and what I'm about and why I'm even doing this. 14 years ago, when I was 22 years old, I had an accident where I fell off of a third floor apartment balcony that left me paralyzed from the waist down. So as of now, 14 years later, even, I am a dude that is in a wheelchair. And, a lot of people would say that, would feel sorry for me or be really upset about my situation. But I can honestly tell you that this situation was the catalyst for my spiritual awakening. And the first few years, I was really not accepting. I tried out a lot of alternative treatments and such, and nothing really worked. And it took me about 3 or 4 years before I finally accepted and started moving forward in my life. And what I noticed when I did that was it was almost as if the universe or life was supporting me to accept and move forward. There were so many things that I wanted to do, and it was as if life was handing them to me. I wanted to play wheelchair basketball. One day I was driving down the road and I saw a billboard about wheelchair basketball on a billboard, and I got the number and ended up getting connected with the wheelchair basketball team people, and was playing it for years. And there were just so many, since all this happened, there was so many things up till this day that I constantly feel like I'm being led to situations that I want to experience. And I would have never knew that if I never had this experience being in a wheelchair. And another thing is I also sought out teachers to help understand reality. After my accident, I thought all the time, like, why do things happen? Like, why did this happen to me? Like, what makes things happen? I grew up Hindu, where I learned a lot about reincarnation and fulfilling your dharma and paying off your karma and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted more, and so I really opened up my mind to trying to understand more. And and so one of the teachers that I ended up meeting was a lady named Anita Murjani. And this lady, she had end stage cancer. She had cancer all over her body. She had tumors the size of lemons. She had all sorts of stuff. She went into a coma and she was pretty much like written off. And in that experience, she said that she became energy. She went out of her body, and she met her father and her best friend, who had also passed away in the past. And they gave her a message that she was going to come back to life, completely heal, and teach the world to love themselves. And sure enough, she came back to life, woke up, healed, with like all of her tumors went away, everything shrank, everything went away in a couple of weeks. And she wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And I was able to meet her, and so I got a lot of insight on how to live life and how to face challenges and how to accept every moment, and really living this perspective, this unlimited perspective. So many of us get stuck in being limited, but in the unlimited perspective, it's not about complaining or blaming or being upset about the things that happen in your life. It's truly accepting everything that happens, and is is an opportunity for your growth. There's lessons to be learned, and so it's really about shifting to starting to see every moment that's happening is perfect, and every moment that's happening is actually happening for you, not to you. And I got a lot of this from this lady, Anita Murjani, and after meeting her, I came across many other stories of near-death experiences. I had a couple other wheelchair friends who, when they had their accidents, they had a near-death experience, came out of their body and witnessed interesting things and met, um, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it, spirits or God or whatever their story was. And then I even came across some other books and some other videos and stories of multiple people. I don't know how many people. Probably I've seen probably at least 20 stories of people that have had an experience like this, and it's really interesting. All of these stories are very similar, and it's something I truly believe in. And my guest today, Rae Irelan, she had a near death experience herself, before she truly realized what she wanted to do with her life. And, she was kind of struggling before this experience happened to her. And I'm going to let her tell her story. So get ready for the first speaker of the summit, Rae Irelan, everybody. Check it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unlimited, an upgrade in your consciousness summit. And today is the first day, and we got our first guest with Rae Irelan. She's a business coach, she's a musician, and she's a speaker. And she's had some pretty interesting experiences in her life. And so, Rae, I want you to take us back, introduce yourself and take us back to um, way back when, before you became who you were today.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, putting on this event. I know those of you that are watching, you're probably really excited and intrigued, and there's a lot coming for you. So yeah, like Vic said, I'm a business coach. I'm also a musician and a speaker, soon to be published author. And what I love doing is I work with entrepreneurs, healers, therapists, and help them grow their coaching business. So we look at, how they can enchant their audience, how they can increase revenue, and also how they can just be living out loud as a human in their essence. And so, yeah, like when I think back to the experience that I'm going to share with you all, I was a very different person. I was in a very different space. I wasn't running my own business. I wasn't like, doing what I'm doing now. And I wasn't really enjoying life as I was as well. And I think that's the big thing that I want to highlight here. So if I take it back, basically I grew up as a dancer. I was in the ballet school since I was 2 years old, and then followed that all the way through till college, went to school for dance at a very small conservatory. And that was my everything. That's everything that I focused on. That's everything I did. That's why I eat, breathed, and slept, was to be the best dancer I could be. And everything kind of took a big switch and a big turn when I suddenly got injured, and I fractured both shins, and then I tore a ligament in my spine, all within 1 month. And so I went from everything being in this direction to like barely being able to walk. And that really was like the first little like dip into a deeper depression, and not really understanding why I was even here if I couldn't dance. What was I supposed to be doing? And who was I supposed to be? Like, I had no idea. So that journey led me into finding music, because I knew I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be performing. So followed this new passion of music. I was surrounded by amazing musicians, so that's also how I got influenced into that space. And from there, I kind of was like, all right, this is my new direction, but I never dealt with all of the stuff that started surfacing during the injuries. And so as my time being a musician, I ended up, things were starting to come up and they didn't feel good. So I turned to drugs, alcohol, and partying to really numb myself, to get away from the experiences that I was having and to try and just be normal. Like I was so over feeling like so different than everyone else, and not like the good different, like the weird, and like I didn't fit in. I always felt like there was just something off about me. Like everyone else can get each other, but like I can't. And so basically grew the band all the way from playing music on the street for pennies all around the country into becoming a nationally touring band, where we had full management and booking, and it was a full running show at this point. We were doing 25 shows a month. All of those shows in different cities, like it was full on, and the party was nonstop. And so at one point, I basically found myself in a very deep depression, confused on my sexuality, on who I was, what I was doing, why was I even singing anymore, what was the message I was sharing, and just none of it was aligned. And so I found myself after a gig drinking all night and then choosing to get in my car and drive home. And during that drive home, I very much was just like, I'm done with this. I want out. And so I turned my wheel and it was going straight into the divider in between the oncoming traffic on the other side of on the freeway. And in a split second, something came to me and was like, no. And I totally just turned it the other way, not really even knowing what was on that side. And there I went. My car just drove right off of a cliff, rolling down a canyon. And during that moment was when I actually had the most divine experience, because I wasn't totally present in the fact that I actually thought I was dreaming at that point, because it felt so out of body. It felt so much like this cannot be what's actually happening in my reality right now. Like there's no way. And so as the car was rolling, I kind of let go and I was like, this has to be a dream. This can't even be real. And then I heard a voice come in, and this was a voice that I've heard my own inner voice thousands of times. This was a voice that I had never heard. It was very, very powerful. It's very strong. And it just asked me, it said, hey, you've been asking to leave for a long time, and this is your opportunity. Do you want to leave now or do you want to stay? And in that moment, I recognized all of the times where I was asking to leave. I was asking to leave when I was a little girl, in the ballet school, and I dealt with bulimia and disordered eating because I just wanted out of my body. I felt so uncomfortable. I was in abusive relationships. I experienced sexual trauma, all of these things and all these experiences where I was just trying to get out of my body all the time. I was trying to leave. And so it just accumulated with the drugs and alcohol to this point where I finally got the opportunity to really choose. And I remember kind of feeling it, and I was like, do I want to leave? No, I actually want to stay. I really need to stay. And it flashed through my past, but then it flashed through my future too. And I realized I have so much more to do here. Like this isn't the end. This isn't the end at all. This is actually just very much the beginning. And so I said, please let me stay. And boom, I snapped back into consciousness and experienced the car rolling, and then it landed straight up.
Wow.
And that was the experience. I mean, there's definitely the consequences that came after that, but that was really the portal that I stepped through, where I reclaimed that I was choosing to be here, that I was here for a purpose, and also in recognition that everyone is here for a purpose. Like I wasn't special in that case. It was just that I needed a huge slap in the face to be reminded of the gift that we all have in being here, being alive, choosing this time, choosing to share it with those that we are sharing it with, and creating whatever we want to create while we're here.
Right. And when you were in that state, when you were having that experience, you said that you came back into, or something clicked, then you came back into your body, and then all of a sudden you're rolling down. Where were you before that happened? Where were you in that experience?
I I was just in a conversation with
Wow.
universe, God, whatever that presence was. Um, I wasn't in my body at that point. I I was very much, it just felt like suspended. Like I was just suspended in time. Time had this pause. And it was like, all right, like this is a powerful experience. Like, what are you gonna, what do you want out of it? And it just, everything stopped. And it was just this really very clear conversation that happened. And then it was like a drop back into my body, into the end of the rolling. And then it completed.
That's so interesting to me because the way that played out and you actually being told you've been asking for this, right? And you actually got like the specific memories of your past where you asked for it, and then like you had a decision to make, like you really had a choice if you were going to stay there or if you were going to come back to life.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a full decision. And it was interesting too, because I had been experiencing all these things. And like, I mean, I have so many memories of, dealing with my disordered eating where I was just like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to leave. I just want to leave. I'd been literally praying for that. And it was all of a sudden just this understanding that it was my choice, and that in that choice, like I got to see, do I want to see these experiences as like just totally taking me down, that I'm a victim of being alive, I'm a victim of society, I'm a victim of growing up in a ballet school, I'm a victim of sexual abuse, I'm a victim of this and that and this and that. And I just decided, like, I chose all of that, and I get to choose what I want to do with it from here on out.
So when you came back and you're rolling down, eventually, as you said, it stopped upright, right?
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
what's your first thoughts? What's happening to you in that moment? Like,
The car landed straight up. And honestly, I think it took me a little bit of time because I had that initial, like, oh, I sunk back into consciousness. But when that happened, I came back to a place where I thought I was still dreaming. So it still wasn't, oh, this is real life. I was just like, this is a crazy dream. And like, I'm still choosing to be here in this dream. But once the car landed, I honestly didn't even look around at the car. I just got out because I thought I was dreaming, and I thought, okay. So I got out and I just started hitting myself actually. I was like, wake up, Rae, come on. Like, this dream is over. We're done with this. And
and were
then
you
I
hurt? Did you have any
feel
pain?
my body at that point. I didn't, my soul had, like, it came back, but it wasn't totally back. It didn't realize that this is real. So I didn't feel anything at that point. Um, and then I heard a voice at the top of the canyon, and it was a man who was screaming, oh my God, are you okay? Is anyone down there? Are you alive? And that's when fear kicked in and my heart started racing. And I was like, is he talking to me? Like, oh shit. And I just crawled up the canyon. And at the top, I saw a man laying down. And I ran over to him. I'm like, oh, are you okay? And he's laying down and having a panic attack because of what he just saw me go through.
Wow.
And so it was a total flip, role reversal. But when I saw him and when he saw me, he gave me a hug. That's when things started to really sink, that like, this is real life. This is what just happened. These are the choices that you've made up till now. And also, like, okay, amazing. Like, I feel so conscious. I just spoke to God. I chose to live here, right? It's like, I'm living in this state of euphoria. Like I was like dancing around this man. I was like,
Wow.
this is amazing. And then everything, the reality sunk in. Cop cars, ambulance, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, this is a problem. This is bad. This is not good. And so again, I had been drinking. Like, there were a lot of other factors to the repercussions that I experienced. And And it was almost this like test of, you know, okay, you're choosing to be here. Like, here's part of life is the repercussions of, you know, of your actions and what you've done and how it affects others. And, you know, all of these other really powerful lessons around how to treat yourself, you know, well, and also just be a good human in society, how to, you know, not put yourself or others in danger and at risk. And so, yeah, it was quite the experience. But once things kind of settled down, you know, and I started checking my body to see, okay, am I injured? Like, this is real. I just rolled down a canyon. Did anything happen to me? Do I have a concussion? There was literally nothing on my body, not even one scratch or bruise.
Wow.
And I could barely believe it. For days. I would sit there just checking my body. Like, how is there not one bruise? I bruise in my sleep. Like, how did I not bruise through with this? And it actually had my mind think like, maybe my car's okay. Maybe I can go just pick up my car and I can still have my car. So I literally called the towing place and I was like, hey, do you guys have a white Prius there? You know, 2002. And they're like, well, yeah, we do, but it's completely totaled. Who are you? And I was like, oh, that's my car. They're like, well, who is driving it? I was like, that was me. They're like, no, well, then who owns the car? Like, where are you? Who's going to come get it? I'm going to come get it. They literally told me when I got to the towing place that they wanted me to make sure that, you know, I let Mark know that I was there because he wanted to come and meet me because he had never seen a car so totaled and had the person driving it come in the next day. Upon seeing the car is when I saw the actual damage of what had happened. The entire roof had sunk down in every other part of the car except for over the driver's seat. It was like a little egg that was above my head. Every single window in the car was completely smashed in except for the one right next to me. The whole front window was smashed into the passenger seat. And my mother had actually given me a necklace with a crystal that allows me to connect to my guides. I was getting ready to go on another tour. And she said, hold on to this if you ever need your angels or you need support. And I'm like, cool. So I put that on at the show that I played at right before the accident. And when I got to the towing place and I'm looking around the car and I get to the front seat, there's the necklace just sitting right there.
Wow. That's pretty miraculous and magical and like all the things. Like for you to roll down a canyon and to have that experience and to have like no scratch on you and then going to the towing place and seeing all that and then having that pendant,
Yeah.
like that's a pretty amazing story. And I have been lucky to have met a few other people in my life. Some of them, like being friends and wheelchair friends. I've told you I've met this lady named Anita Murjani who talks about her near death experience. Essentially, is like the correct term for it. And it's always this kind of situation where somebody goes kind of to this other realm and is having she had a conversation with like her past father, but whatever it is, like you're having a conversation with higher intelligence, and people don't realize how common these kind of experiences actually are. I mean, I can specifically think of 5 people myself that I know. I've seen a bunch of other videos and they're all really similar. And what would you have to tell someone who's struggling in this time with COVID and everything going on, and all the fears that are happening, and they can't see divinity, right? They can't see that there's maybe something holding light for this process. What would you tell them based on that experience?
It's like the wind. We can't see it always, but we can feel it. And so just trust in even the littlest light of knowing that there's something greater, there's a purpose for all of us here, to be here, to be experiencing some of our most crazy shit, all the crazy stuff. Like there's a reason for it, because I want to kind of connect some of the dots. But through that experience, I was able to go into the depths of my own healing and understand where I had been holding on to not only my own life's traumas, but also past traumas and ancestral traumas. And it is our duty and our opportunity to be able to cleanse and clear and purify ourselves, to raise our own consciousness, to help with the evolution of humanity, to bring us back into a state of compassion and love and unity. Like this is what is possible. And so we all need to allow the crap to surface, because otherwise we won't know what needs to be healed. And from that space, you know, I was able to, not even able to, I was so inspired by my own journey, by experiencing myself step into a place of love for myself, you know, letting go of disordered eating. That was something that was a big part of me for over 10 years, that led into abusive relationships, that led into substance abuse. Like there was underlying things. These are just stories of what actually needs to be healed underneath the abuse, like all, whatever your thing is that has been like very traumatic, with a capital T trauma or like lower T trauma. There's something underneath it that needs to get revealed and exposed. And through that journey, I got so inspired that all I wanted to do was share it. And through sharing it, it very organically turned into now what is like a full-on business, where I get to inspire and work with others and, you know, create a six-figure business for myself, so I can be giving back like massively and taking care of myself on this whole new level, and like experiencing a life that I only dreamt of, especially a musician that like once was like literally living off of pennies. You know, I knew that I didn't need much. But the thing is, it's not about needing more for ourselves. It's about needing more for humanity. It's about giving back to one another and switching like our focus points of like, are we focusing on playing out these roles, or, you know, just pretending to get by, but not really enjoying the experience? Or are we really like going into the fullness of life, like diving into the traumas, healing what we can heal, so that way we can experience greater love with one another. And then we can create and build whatever we want from there, whether it's business or art or, you know, healing or really anything. It's like caps off. Like we don't need to limit ourselves. There's so much potential that hasn't even been tapped into. And so I think like just tuning in, you know, anyone that's watching this already know that you know that there's a reason why you're going through whatever crap you're going through. And so it's just about continuing your journey and showing up for it as much as you can. Notice when you're trying to numb, or if you're trying to escape your experience, because that will just continue that cycle. And we all know that we don't need that anymore. We can actually be here. It's safe to be here. It's safe to grow. It's safe to expand. It's safe to heal.
Yeah. And I loved everything you just said. And it was just so spot on. And, you know, for everybody watching, Rae's my coach, right? I've been working with Rae the last, sorry?
Oh, I'm so lucky.
I'm lucky, and we've been working together the last couple of months, and it's really been about really pushing in like that level of impact and living out loud and really being as present as possible. And one of the reasons why this events have been happening is because of the discussions that we've had, and also in the same way, uncovering those emotions, those blocks. You know, you know, creating my own business is a new thing for me, and I've really only been doing it for less than a year. And so being able to work with you has really been able to clear some of these emotions. And I work with clients to clear their emotions too, in different aspects, I guess. And so so everything, you know, that we're talking about here is spot on. And when you uncover that surface thing and really get to the gunk and like clear that stuff, like what do you call that? What do you call that gunk? And what is that, like, what is it? Why is it limiting us from like truly being as present as we want to be in the world?
I think a lot of times, I mean, we can call it gunk. You can gunk works great. But I think the reason why it limits us is because we are scared of it or have been scared of it. So we push it away. If it peeks its head out, you do whatever you can to shut it down. And so, of course, if there's this thing that's constantly nagging, it's a big energy drain, a big energy leak. And if you're trying to constantly board it up so that way it doesn't come out and no one else sees it, that's even more energy that you're putting towards this gunk, the things that you might be, you might hold judgment or shame or guilt around. And these could be created from society. It doesn't mean that those don't matter, but it's important to just bring it to awareness. And if you bring it up, if you allow it to be seen, it's like cleaning out a dark closet. You need to shine a light in there to see where the cobwebs are. If you don't, you probably will think, oh, well, it's clean enough. So that's where it limits us, is just in the fear of it even coming out. And the thing is when it does come out, especially if you have a community or a safe space to do this in, a program or a center or something, then you actually recognize and see that like more people are experiencing this than just you. You don't actually have to be hiding this from anyone because everyone's experiencing it. And so if we're collectively experiencing it, is that shame, guilt, stress, worry, like, is that actually mine? If my neighbor is feeling the same thing, and then that neighbor is feeling the same thing too, like, what is actually like mine? What's unique to me? And so I think it's a interesting thing to like kind of bring up, is just that like this is collective. This is collective healing. And like when we can bring it up, when you can look at it, when you can have someone especially guiding you, because let's be real, if you don't have someone guiding you, you're not going to go to where you don't want to go.
Right. Yeah, totally.
You're doing, it's so powerful because we need that for each other, and that's how we can come together as a collective and as a unit and rise above all of these things that might be getting in our way of just being our truest selves and being able to be our creative selves and put things out into the world, support each other, create, build whatever we want from there.
Yeah, and I find that, especially when working with my clients and stuff, it's all like, it's not like you clear the gunk and then like you're good to go, right? It's it's a lifestyle. It changes. If you're trying to like really like be that person, be the change you want to see in the world, and show up, like you have to constantly do this, right? Because we're always picking up energies, and there's always deeper things that we're clearing to totally be aligned. What can you speak on that about?
I would just say, think about if you did complete, if you completed your time in healing yourself, how boring that would be. And how by that point you're like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, I'm truly done. So I would just say, enjoy the journey, because that's why we're here, is to be in the chaotic mess of beautiful art that's being transformed. That art, first and foremost, being ourselves. And we all love the experience of love. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's like, no, like, I don't want more love, unless it's a trauma, We all love love. And so if we're going in that direction, like, how beautiful is that we get to continue to just become more and more love. And I think as you move forward through this journey, at first the healing is freaking terrible, and you're just thinking, when am I going to get done with this? When am I going to get out of here? I just want a job at the grocery store now. I'm so over this healing. Like, give me one minimum. Like, I want out, right? Almost every that moment. And the thing is as you continue to do it, you actually start to fall in love with it. I can't imagine living a life where I'm not continuously doing healing on myself, because every time I do healing, every time I have a breakdown, it turns into a more beautiful breakthrough, and I get more connection, more love, more creativity, like more of everything that I'm wanting. So it's about like strengthening the mind and the journey towards coming to that place of peace, or, you know, those are some inner qualities: peace, confidence, but also what about like making millions of dollars, creating an impact in millions of lives. I think it's also interesting if we like think about, you know, people that win the lottery, like they didn't work towards it. Like we're talking about the work here, like the inner work. When people win the lottery and they don't work towards it, like the rate of them dying in 3 years is like crazy. The rate of losing all the money almost immediately, it's out of the roof, because all of a sudden they have all the things, but they don't know why they've gotten there. They haven't put that work forward, so it doesn't even matter to them. It doesn't solve the problems. So it's always about the journey. It's always about the struggle, and like being able to be that person who's like, yeah, I just overcame that. Like I was able to move through that. I was able to be adventurous enough, courageous enough, loving enough to try something new that I never thought was possible.
And you've just overcome something that's pretty big in my book. You just see, you just went skydiving solo. What you tell us what you had to overcome to be able to do that, and why are you even doing that?
So, I mean, everything that I'm sharing on here, like I'm not just like saying it to say it. Like it's not just like a nice sounding poem. Like this is actually how I full on live my life. And sometimes it surprises even me, because I'm constantly trying to understand what is something that is going to push my edge. So that way I can become that next version of myself who's even more like expanded and big and bright and light. And I'd love to do adventure things. I love to scuba dive, rock climb, backpack, you know, all of that stuff. And I grew up with that as well. That was always an outlet, surfing. And so for me, what I realized at the end of summer, just like a bit ago, I was like, okay, things are feeling pretty good. Business is in a really great spot. Love life is interesting, but you know, it's fun. It's fine. I'm learning from it. Friendships are so rich. Family time is so rich. And I'm like, okay, there's something, you know, I always want to expand myself. And I actually had a friend surprise me, and he took me skydiving. And so he surprised me, and he knew that I was going to love it. And I knew I was going to love it. And basically by the time we came down, he was like, do you want to do it again? I'm like, oh yeah. And I realized, yeah, it's time to do the training. And so I pretty much signed up immediately and decided like, I want to learn how to not only have the full surrender and free fall, because that's something I've actually feel like I've become a master of in my life, is to take leaps, take the free falls, go for it. I definitely did that in how I started my business. It always was a leap, or how I started becoming a musician. And so when you're tandem skydiving, it's just that you have someone on your back, they actually jump for you. Like you don't even have to make that decision. You go. And there was something that felt scary about taking 100% responsibility of being able to be in that surrendered space of free falling, while also being completely focused and cognitive of what's happening and the different instruments that you use to have a safe free fall and landing. And so that is my new journey right now, is this really beautiful coexisting experience where it's not one or the other. They're actually simultaneously happening in terms of time and space, of fully surrendering and trusting, and also trusting in my responsibility, my ability to be able to respond in the moment and be very focused and clear in my mind and centered in my body and aware of where I'm at while in free fall, falling 125 miles to the ground. So that's what my new journey is right now. I have I have many jumps to go, but I did my first solo jump just 2 days ago. Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go. That's so cool. You're a total badass in my book. I I've been skydiving once back in 2011, and it was tandem. All right, I'm a wheelchair dude, so it was a big deal for me to do that, and for other people. Yeah, and yeah. So I mean, that's like when I saw you really get into this and do that. That was really appealing to me. So I'm like, kudos to you. I think that's amazing. And back to this point of surrender and trust, right? Like, it's so important for that. And just like you said, you needed it to expand your business. You needed it to become a musician. It's a staple in my life to constantly surrender into the moment, to my own challenges, and something I teach as well. How important is it to master the skill of surrender?
It's one of the most important. Um, if if you desire to be on a spiritual journey, you must learn to surrender because we just don't know it all. And the more that you can release the desire and the expectation that you should know everything and you should have everything planned out and you should have everything sorted out, you're minimizing the possibility and the opportunity for miracles and magic to come into your life. The more that you can surrender and open up space and actually hold empty space and say, this is all the stuff that I don't know, and I'm not going to fill it, and I'm not going to try and figure it out. I'm literally just going to surrender to the unknown. And that's where the universe gets to play with you. It's like, that's the invitation of like the universe and God coming and meeting you instead of you always like having to take charge. And that's where the most wild things happen. I have a really good example of that was after my accident. It was a few years afterwards. I was still touring with my band, but I got this intuitive hit to go to India in 2 weeks. I was supposed to be touring, doing my next tour through the United States in 2 weeks. And it was a hit. It was unknown. It was very clear. It was again like that kind of huge voice that just like, go to India in 2 weeks. I didn't know anyone over there. I had no idea about anything. And yet I booked my ticket and I went over there, and within a week
We didn't know each other back then.
we did not. No. Yeah, I booked my ticket, and within a week of being out there, I was performing to over 10,000 people and speaking at this large event for International Women's Day.
Wow.
Just the power of surrender. It can connect you to dreams that you've never thought were possible. And yet, I was trying to figure out, how do I do the band? Because we have a show coming up with 500 people. Like, that was huge. I was freaking out about like not being there for it, and let alone and then all of a sudden India's like, we got 10,000 people waiting for you, Rae. Like, get your ass over here.
Yeah, that's so cool, and I've totally experienced the miracles that come with surrender time and time again. I concur with you 100%. Rae, who do you work with? Who do you work with, and what do you really do to help people grow their business?
Yeah, so I love working with people just like you, light workers, transformational leaders, energy healers, therapists, entrepreneurs that have creative, adventurous spirit. Because you want to take all of this energy, all of this insight, all of this knowledge, and figure out how you can make a bigger impact. First and foremost, by taking care of yourself, because a lot of time healers and creatives and entrepreneurs, they're giving. They're wanting to like make the change in the world, and yet sometimes forgetting about themselves. So we look at that. How do you fill your own cup first? And then from there, how do you create game plans to build impact-driven businesses that are really making a splash, and not just reaching the numbers, but actually reaching the depths of the impact that can be created. I believe in creating deep impact instead of deep impact first, and then from there going wide. So again, like the three core pillars that I focus on with my clients are enchanting your audience. So that's through storytelling, through really discovering your message and using your unique voice to share it, and then online marketing and branding. Into the second pillar being increasing revenue. So kind of playing off those core foundational pieces of business, and then looking at sacred and sexy sales, how to create a sales process that feels really good for both you and your clients that you're working with. And then from there, creating live your life that you're living out loud. So this is really where you get to step into being your CEO self. You're creating your own lifestyle. You're creating your own calendar. What does it look like to really like live full out, to like take a stand for what you believe in, and to really step into being that personal brand that is making that impact in the world. So that's the core of the work that I'm doing. And it's really business coaching and consulting meets transformational work, because I believe anyone that wants to create an impact-driven business needs to transform themselves into that person who is running the successful, legit, impact-driven business. So they go hand in hand.
I love it so much. I'm obviously in your program, so so I'm totally, yeah, everybody needs to work with Rae. Not everybody can work with Rae, but everybody should work with Rae. And Rae, how can they work with you?
Yeah, so I would love to do a free gift for anyone that's watching. And I will share this. This free gift is not for everyone. So there is an application process to receive this free gift, which is a soulful strategy session. And for everyone that's here watching a part of this event, I'm actually going to gift that to you for free, because I want to really help you all in looking at, okay, what is the vision? Let's crystallize your vision of what you want to be doing in the world. Where are you at now, and what's possible for you? Like realistically possible with what you have already built or created. And then from there, what is that personalized plan of action to get you going and to take those first steps, right? Because sometimes it feels like a big leap. So what are those in between steps? So that's what I'm offering for anyone that feels called to go deeper into that conversation with me, so we can create that personalized plan. And then if anyone does apply, but it actually is not a good fit, then I will send you over the future self visualization, where you can start to really tune into understanding and getting to know and develop a relationship with your future self. So that way you can get some signals and some signs on where you can be focusing your energy, what you can be looking forward to, and any other things that you should just be aware of in your current state before you get to that future next spot in your life.
You guys, she's got amazing insight. She's got amazing tools. I highly recommend you apply and see what she has in store for you. And Rae, thank you for getting on this call with me. I feel like we covered so much ground. I'm so excited.
And I will share, if anyone does want to do that, you can find it just at www.raieirelan.com. And I'm sure you can have the links, and you can also find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. I have a show and podcast called Soul Aligned. So if you want to just get to know me more, get to know the work, the stories, hear some other crazy stories of adventures and transformation in business, then check out the podcast, because there's a lot there for you as well. And this is a way that I like to, give back to those that are interested and kind of just curious about what's going on. And then those of you that are really looking for deeper support, I've got you.
Awesome, Rae. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. I think we did great. And we want to hear from you guys. What landed for you? What did you learn? What are you taking from this conversation? Throw out any questions you have, and I'll be there commenting back at you. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for showing up. And be ready for tomorrow for the next one.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Elliot, the artist of the song coming up, Kinfolk. Just wanted to introduce it to you and tie it in. You know, there was a great interview talking about the journey, and in my experience, a lot of the journey has been through limiting beliefs about what I could experience, what I couldn't experience, and making peace with that and then moving through them. Even in the video, you'll see me walking around with some poster boards and standing on the corner of a very busy street. And that was highly uncomfortable for me at the time. You know, there was a lot of limiting beliefs going on that made it feel like, I don't want to do this. No, there's going to be people that are looking at me and laughing and all that stuff. But in the midst of holding it up, there was one point, and you see it at the end where I kind of smile, where somebody gave me a thumbs up, or they waved or smiled. You know, everybody else kind of ignored me and looked at me strangely. But in that moment, it was like, yeah, gonna be okay. This is all right. So I think it's important to try to remember that. You know, all the tough stuff that we felt like we couldn't get through, we got through. We're here. And eventually it changes, just like everything else does. Something's gonna shift, and so it can't last forever. And also really taking a look at our mindset and our attitude. Might not be able to control my thought in that moment, it's already happened. My emotion in that moment, it's already happened, or even the outside world for sure. But what I can do is control the attitude, my attitude towards it. And that's been it's been a big lesson for me. And that's part of the message of Kinfolk. So I hope you enjoy it.
This is for my kinfolk who feel broken down and been low. You can open up your windows. I know that you're gonna be okay. We're trying to find a peace, a way to make the pain cease. Release from some piece of unease. So we're soaking in the messages the media repeats on TVs and tweets how we're incomplete and need these. Those that are handsome, want somebody handsome, better buy this makeup, wake up at 4 in the morning, don't eat, and hit the treadmill until your body is petite. So we're moving away from the home that we know, part with our hearts as we go, embark on a journey to find the ark, something to save us, not knowing it's been here from the start, but I know you'll find your way back home, my friend, and I know you'll find your way. This is for my kinfolk, yeah, who feel broken down and been low. You can open up your windows. I know that you're gonna be okay. You may feel like you're gonna stumble. Some days you may even crumble. But even through the struggle, you're gonna find your way. We're searching everywhere, trying to find a peace, but it's never there, hoping you focus on the dollars and the cents, the success is gonna leave you feeling blessed, but every day you're really stressed, and you wish you could confess it's a mess, but you got that inner voice in your head from when everybody said that you gotta suck it up and be the best, but look how far away you are from the way you're born. You used to live in wonder, now you walk around scorn. You used to love to run and play, freedom was your way. It still is, but you're lost in a limiting thought with no give, so I pray you'll find your way back home, my friend, and I pray you'll find your way. This is for my kinfolk who feel broken down and been low. You can open up your windows. I know that you're gonna be okay. You may feel like you're gonna stumble. Some days you may even crumble. But even through the struggles, I know that you're gonna find your way. hand knots can get your mind in a trap thought where the confidence we have rocks. So let it go like it's mad hot. There's no cage, but the way we behave can make us feel caught. So who can you be without a limiting belief? If you chose to stop making thoughts command chief, if you came back home to give yourself the love you withheld.
This is for my kinfolk who feel broken down and been low. You can open up your windows. I know that you gon' be okay. You may feel like you gon' stumble. Some days you may even crumble. But even through the struggle,